I'm Delia Hare. Everyone calls me Dee, and I'm going to show you a knitting project that I've been working on as my demonstration. This is a knitted lacy washcloth. It's called an eyelet pattern because it has these holes in it. When you finish and block it out, you'll have a nice eyelet pattern visible. Most of the time when you knit, you don't want holes in your knitting, but this is one of the cases when you do. So we'll be showing it I'll be showing you some stitches to how to get those holes. This is my pattern. When I knit, I like to make a photocopy of my pattern. This actually came from a library book, and that way I can make notes on it if there's something that is really unclear in the way it's written. And I also use a sticky pad because this is done in 12-row increments so that I can see what row I'm on. I'm right-handed, so the knitting needle that I have in my right hand is called my working needle, and that's where my yarn is coming off to the right side. The needle that's in my left hand is called the reserve needle, and that's the stitches that you're about to work on. So to do a knit stitch, this row that I'm on, the pattern calls for 5 knit stitches and then 3 purls. So to do our 5 knit stitches, you start with your right-handed needle at the in front of the left-handed needle. You don't go in from the right side though, you go in from the left side, like so. You push it under the left-hand needle, you bring your yarn around, wrap it around your working needle, and then you use the point to pull the yarn over to the right-hand needle. And you pull the trailer yarn a little bit to tighten up, and there you have a knit stitch. So for this line, we're going to do 5 of those. So there was our first one. Here's our second one. Remember, we're going to go to the far left side, go underneath the yarn, wrap it around, and pull it through with the tip of our needle. And there's our second knit stitch. For the third one, same thing, far left side, wrap it around, and pull it through. So there's our third one. For our fourth one, same thing. And our fifth one. There we go. So next, our pattern calls for 3 purl patterns. So for a purl pattern, what you're going to do is you're going to take your working yarn and you're going to bring it over to the front of your knitting. And then when you do a purl stitch, you do put your knitting needle in through on the right side. So we're going to put it on the side closest to us, the right. Wrap it around the tip, use it to pull through, and there you have a purl stitch. And you can see the differences in a knit and purl stitch. These knitted stitches are the ones that are straight here, and the purl stitches are the ones that have the bar across the bottom. So we need 3 purl stitches. We've done 1. Here's our second one. Again, we're going in from the right side, wrap it around, pull it through, and you've got your second purl stitch. And then again for your third purl stitch. So we're going to repeat that pattern till we get to the end of the row, and because each row, the 5 and 3 doesn't make it an even amount, it's going to tell you that your pattern is going to tell you what to do at the end of the row. But for right now, we're going to do another knit 5. So we put our yarn back on the back side of our work. We've got our right hand needle. We're putting it over on our left side, wrapping our yarn around, and there we're back to our 1 knit stitch, our second knit stitch, third knit stitch, fourth knit stitch, and you have to always kind of fiddle with what you're working on and push it down, and your fifth knit stitch. So now we're back to our 3 purls. So we're going to pull our yarn back to the front, insert our needle on the right side, wrap it around, pull it through. So there's our purl stitch with our bar. Do that again, put it on the right hand side, wrap it around, pull it through, second purl stitch, and then one more time to do our third purl stitch. And then we're going to look at our pattern or our instructions and see what to do with these last stitches, and I can already see that I should have looked at that sooner, because for the last, we have 3 stitches left on our reserve needle. I'm supposed to have 6 stitches left, and I was supposed to have just knitted 3 and then purled the last 3. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to take out a stitch. So to take out a stitch, it can seem very scary, but it's actually very easy to do, and you will do it a lot if you knit. Is I'm going to take this last stitch, I'm going to pull my yarn out. It's taking that stitch away, and that leaves your loop sticking up there, and I'm going to put that loop back on my reserve yarn. So that's 4. I need to take off 2 more, so I'm going to slide that off, pull the loop through, put your needle back through, your reserve needle back through, and then 1 more. Pull your yarn through, and sometimes they pop off. You just push them back on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 purls and 3 knits. So we'll put, for our purl, remember we'll bring our yarn back to the front of where we're working. We'll put our needle in the right hand side, loop it around, and pull it through. So there's 1 purl, 2 purl, and 3 purl. And then we're going to knit our last 3, so we move our yarn back to the back side of the work, put it on the far side, put your needle in on the far side, wrap it around, and pull it through. And remember, that makes the loop stitch that does not have these bars coming across. So now that we're at the end of the row, what you do is you've got your empty needle here. So you take this work, you turn it around, and now these become your reserve stitches, and your empty needle is what you're working on. So that moves us down to the next row. So I'm going to move my sticky note down and find out that for this row, I'm going to start out and I'm going to knit 2 and purl 1. So for my knit 2, I'm putting my needle tip in on the far side, pushing it through and under, wrapping my yarn around, and pulling it through. So there's our knit 2, purl 1, bring the yarn around to the front, insert it in the side closest to us, the right hand side, bring the yarn around, pull it through and over to the other needle. Then we're going to come to the main part of this lines pattern, which is knitting 3 and purling 5. So we need to knit 3, we move our yarn back over to the other side, knit 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, purl 5, so we bring our yarn around to the front, insert the needle closest to us, wrap it around so we get that bar, and that's what creates that bar, and we're going to purl 5. As you get more used to doing the knitting and purl stitches, you can go faster. It was 3, 4, and 5. Move our yarn back to the back side, do our knit 3 again. There's a lot of repetition. Sometimes you have whole rows in knitting that are all just knitting or purling, depending on what kind of look the finished piece has. So it gets into a repetitive kind of soothing motion. There was our knit 3, so and here's our purl 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Need a little bit more slack, so you just push it to the end, move it back around to the back for our 3 knits. I like using this cotton variegated yarn for washcloths. It's really, really soft and the variegations, the natural variegations that they've made in the yarn, makes these really pretty patterns. So these are really good Christmas presents. So there was our knit 3, and bring back our, to the front to do our purl 5. The last stitch that I'm going to show you, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead in my pattern and demonstrate a stitch, and then I will go back later and take it out. But the other thing that's used in this pattern is called the yarn over, and it is always, it will tell you in your pattern whether you're moving your yarn over from the knit position or the purl position, and this one is from the knit position. So we put our yarn back to the back side, and what we're going to do here is just create a stitch on our finished side, the right hand side, using basically just what it says. We're going to loop it around and put our yarn over without actually using this other needle to knit it. So then later when we come back around our next rows, it will drop that stitch on purpose, which is what's creating these holes. This is not what you want to do for most other patterns, but that is what we want to do for this one. So when you do a yarn over, I've just created, as you can see, I've just created that loop there. And then we're going to knit another one. Well, it's over on the front. We'll go ahead and we'll purl another one. And pop it off. So if we wanted to do that again, we would just wrap it around. For that one, we'll do it again from the purl position. And there goes your stitch, I'm sorry.